Welcome to Moss Marketing Mondays, aka the M3 Podcast. Brought to you by Moss Marketing Group, bringing you everything marketing every Monday. Stay tuned for marketing tips and tricks you can use today. The M3 Podcast, marketing knowledge to help you succeed. Let's get started.
Welcome back to the M3 Podcast. This week, we got Dre and Dalton on from the MMG crew, and we have Jake Mosiman. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, so our paths just crossed recently 2-3 weeks ago. That's up for debate if it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, but losing track of our schedules nowadays. And you have your own pickleball line.
Yeah.
So, it was something when Ricky handles a lot of our messages that come in on social, things like that, and he had been in conversation with you. I was expecting somebody a lot older to come into my office. When you come rolling in, I was like, this is the dude that owns the pickleball company? I was like, but then after seeing the designs and things like that, it makes sense. So what is your pickleball line? What got you into it?
Yeah.
Let's start there.
Yeah. So I guess what got me into pickleball, because like you said, you're expecting old people to play. Probably during COVID, I had a buddy reach out and said, I'm in this pickleball league. My partner backed out. Do you want to play? And nothing was going on in COVID, so I said, what? Sure. Got into the competitiveness of the game, got my ass kicked a few times by some grandparents or whoever. And then, my competitive nature, I just wanted to, start getting good at it. So kind of fell in love with the game, got to a point where I was investing in paddles, not investing in paddles, but, spending more than I usually would in a fucking paddle. Yeah. And I remember I bought this, I won't say the brand, but I bought this $200 paddle. And at the time it was marketed top of line, it's going to take your game from a 3-0 to a 5-0 and, all that BS. Within the first 2 weeks of me having it, snapped in half. And, I kind of went down the rabbit hole of what technology was in it, everything that goes into making a good paddle. And I felt like we could, one, make a good quality paddle at a reasonable price. But two, I think, there's a lot to be said of where the game's at, where the game's going. And, who else, where's the game going to grow to from a, standpoint of, could an old basketball player, want to get into it. And so that's where, we kind of really took off and, started developing one and wanted to continue to develop the brand and keep it going and stay cutting edge, and just kind of fell in love with that game of, the paddle technology and just creating good product to, bring to the masses.
Yeah. And to your point, it's funny because I had my entry to pickleball was kind of the same. It was a little bit before COVID, but Mass and I go down to the Villages in Florida.
I heard that place is awesome.
It's phenomenal. It's like everyone drives around on golf carts. There's 87 golf courses, all right there. Pickleball courts everywhere. Every time I go down there, I'm like, I just want to live here for the rest of my life. It's just perfect. So once you get there, you just drive a golf cart everywhere, and there's live music 7 nights a week down in there, squares, but such a cool place. But when we first got there, Madison's dad lives there for a couple months out of the year. When we were there, he's like, yeah, we're going to play pickleball. So I'm thinking we show up, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think this really looks fair. I'm like, most of these people are 60 plus years of age. And I'm like, at this point, this was probably 4 years ago. So I was probably 25, and I'm walking out there in pretty decent shape, and I'm like, I'm gonna feel bad like doing this to some elderly people out here.
It's like maybe I should go easy starting off.
Yeah, and so I started off. I'm like, don't hit it too hard at them, and then I like start like putting more into it, and I put more into it, and I'm like, okay, now I'm giving it my all, and I'm still getting waxed. I'm like, and I remember going out the first day and like not winning a single game, and Madison like was the same way. She was looking at me like, I was like, what
just happened?
Yeah,
literally what just happened? Is this a joke?
Yeah, I thought I was getting pumped or something. I'm like, they brought these people in to do this to me.
Yeah.
But it was like that competitive side of it, that knowledge of playing the game is so much different. The knowledge of what you're doing, and it's crazy when we go out and we play with people, like them just not knowing how to play the game. You can beat somebody all day, every day.
Right.
Like, and getting into that side, it was funny how fast like I picked up pickleball and how much I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And now there's a huge group of us that we all play all the time, and I do think the age is coming down a lot.
Yeah. Well, and it's a lot like golf too, because, it's as much of a mental game as it is, obviously a competitive game, but athletic game. I mean, everybody's had the story of getting their ass beat by their grandma or or Betty from across the street, whatever it is. And it's not all about power. It has touch. It has, a little bit of chess in there where if I can place this ball, in a position where it's hard for them to get it, they're going to pop it up to me, and then I can smack it in their face. So I think it's, a great game. And what makes it unique from any sport that I've ever, really played is that anybody can pick it up. Anybody can play it. And I swear to God, if you've played 3 games, you're 1,000 times better than when you first start.
Oh, for sure. Just understanding how to move. Like,
yeah,
the rules I feel like I never played tennis, so I'm not going to say that.
Neither
have I don't even know the rules of tennis really. So
they're similar, but not quite the same.
But it's just figuring out the rules of serving from the back, making sure you get forward, making sure that like once the ball's returned back to you that it bounces once. Like just some of the simple things like staying out of the kitchen, understanding if the ball bounces, you can't go in the kitchen. Like just simple things like that. Once you start picking that up, that it takes you 3 or 4 games and you can figure it out pretty quick. And I remember the first time we were out there, they're saying like they're going score over, serving 1 or 2 and everything. I'm like, why they got 3 numbers?
What the hell is this score?
Yeah, I was so confused.
This is our first game. Why are you keeping track of wins
I didn't
losses?
sign up for fucking algebra.
But now it's like just so simple that, but it's also, I think that the evolution of pickleball, I think the overall sport has came so far in the last 5 years.
I've heard this could be a Dre fact, but
Is that factual?
I did hear that it's the fastest growing sport in the U.S. or one of them.
Yeah.
Right now.
I would not doubt that at all.
Oh, you guys don't get on him for his case?
Yeah. But the thing is, 5 years ago,
this may or may not be true.
5 years ago, if I talked to somebody, I said, hey, we're going to play pickleball. They're like, oh yeah, like I've seen that. Like
nerd.
We all played it in middle school, right? Like in the gym.
But now it's something that, I mean, go talk to 10 people and I guarantee you probably 8 or 9 of them played.
Yeah.
But they're building these bars everywhere now that like pickleball courts are there. Like look at Chicken and Pickle, look at Serve, look at all these places that are popping up that it's deeming something that a family can go do. Like you said, everyone can pick up a paddle and play, from grandma and grandpa down to the grandkids.
Yeah.
And have a full day out doing it.
Yeah. I think it's it's a lifelong sport. Like something, I don't think everyone can play tennis, up into their 70s and 80s just because of the running.
No, I don't like the cardio of tennis at all.
But with pickleball, like if you're really good, you really don't move that much. I mean, you're pretty stationary for the most part. So
yeah,
it's like a lifelong sport now.
But let's back up before we ever got into pickleball, before any of that. Where'd you go to high school?
Yeah, so I grew up in Lawrence, Kansas.
Okay.
Was a chesty line out there. So, no, that's their mascot. It's a chesty lion, not just a lion or anything like that. So,
what is the difference in lions?
I guess the roar. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, but so I went to Lawrence High. Had great experiences there. Just nothing but good things to say.
Nothing good there.
Nothing good there.
Nothing good there. No, I had the best time at Lawrence High. So yeah, I went there, and then after graduating, went to the University of Arkansas, and then moved back to Kansas City afterwards.
So you touched on a little bit that you played basketball.
Yeah.
And you played high school and college?
Yeah. Well, I can't say, I really played college. I sat the bench.
Yeah. You were there.
Yeah. I guess a few games when we were up by like 40 or getting beat by 40, I got to touch the court. But yeah, I was lucky enough. It was kind of a crazy story of how I kind of got on the team, because I didn't play until my junior year of college. So a lot of 2 years of partying in between, and then thrown into Mike Anderson's fastest 40 as a white guy was hard.
I could definitely say after my partying days, my athletic ability has definitely been hindered a little bit.
Yeah.
So how did that come about? Did you like walk on? I mean, did someone like convince you to try out? Like, I don't even know how that works.
Yeah. So I walked on, and my freshman year I tried out for the team. Yeah. They had a full team, didn't make it, but then was constantly around the guys and the team, and would bring them to our fraternity parties, and in a way kind of help recruit other players as well. But also could hold my own on the court, and I, didn't really lack in talking shit. So I would let them have it. After my freshman year of college, I started a kind of like a low-key Bitcoin company with a guy that got me into Bitcoin back in the day. Shout out Kosei. I was going door to door, and then ended up, selling a couple of the coaches, getting bought in on Bitcoin a little bit.
So you're knocking down the whole universe?
Yeah, not like that. No, not like that. But so ended up building good rapport with the team, the coaches, and kept on playing basketball a little bit, but not as serious as I was like back in the day. And an opportunity came, and they asked me if I wanted to come on the team, and
it's like, dude, this dude's hustling Bitcoin to all of us. We need to bring him in.
yeah. What else does he know?
We can get it for cheaper, I heard, if he's on the team.
No, yeah, give him a better price. So they asked me if I would be on the team, and of course, I said yes, and got my ass kicked by everybody, and ran a lot, and had a great experience doing it. So
yeah.
So
what'd you go to college for?
Sports management. So I guess growing up, I was a huge Entourage fan. I wanted
Great
to
show.
be. I thought Ari Gold was the coolest guy ever, and I love sports, and wanted to be a sports agent growing up. So, yeah.
So you go to school for being a sports agent. When did you graduate college?
2017.
2017.
Yeah.
So you come out of college. What's first step out of college look like?
So I guess I should say, once I was in kind of the sports world, I figured out a few things, and wanted to go more of a sales route where I could have, immediate income and not really grunt work and go through that process, which I understand it doesn't sound that great of me saying it. But we were all young and stupid at one time. So got out of college, went into sales.
Sounds like you were selling Bitcoin while in college.
Yeah, I was selling Bitcoin while in college. The first year out, Bitcoin hit 20,000. I think it was November of 2017, and I sold out completely. So I'm one of those guys.
Early seller.
If it makes you feel better, I was trying to buy at I think it was under $200 per coin. I'm like, I was trying to convince my dad. I'm like, Dad, I think I got an investment. I'm like, $2,000.
This is Dre like junior high.
No, this was me junior in college. Junior in college, I was like, because one of my buddies, he's like, dude, you got it. I gambled all the time at the casino. He was like professional poker player. I was like, he says it's a guarantee.
It was a guarantee.
And my dad's
Dad
like,
Dad probably listening to you thinking, you telling him that you have a professional poker player that sits next to you in class.
Yeah.
He probably thought you were full of shit.
Well, either way, he put in.
He was exit liquidity.
He put in $3,000 or $3,500 at the beginning of the semester, and this is fall semester. Puts it in. I'm like, when are you gonna pull out? He's like, if I get enough money to buy a new Audi, I'll do it, because he's driving a brand new Hellcat. He's like, but I kind of want Audi. I was like, all right. And I was telling my dad, I'm like, Dad, I'm looking at this dude's portfolio every day, and it's like gaining traction like crazy. He's like, yeah. And looking back, I should have just went and found other means to get the money.
Did you have other means to find that money?
No, I could have found them.
Yeah.
Into the semester is at $15,000, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, and I asked him. I think it was beginning of December. I'm like, what are you at? He's like, $96,000 cashed out yesterday. He's like, just got a car for $3,500. So I was like, And then my dad he's like, I think this is something. I'll give you the money. I'm like, we missed the boat.
Ship sailed.
Yeah.
And then now looking back, I'm like, ship was still going.
Yeah. I mean, similar story. Obviously, you don't want to sell too soon, but you definitely don't want to get caught holding the bag.
I got a lot of coins right now. I'm still holding in a lot of a diverse portfolio of crypto.
I'm still holding strong on my Dogecoin.
Oh yeah.
Could have cashed out at $28,000, and then it dropped.
I had like
32,000. $28,000 to 2,000. I was like, finance wizard.
Right. I've been there. I
had $800 turned into 32,000 in less than 60 days.
Oh my gosh.
And when that Doge ride went, I bought in right in the very front side of it. I was seeing it on TikTok, and I started getting on Twitter again. I was never on Twitter really, and I'm watching all this stuff on Twitter. I'm
following crypto billionaire.
I'm sitting there, I'm like, I feel like this is this was before Elon even backed it, and so I jumped in on it. And then all of a sudden Elon comes out and says something about it, and it was shoo.
Yeah, it was.
And we're watching it live on TV. We have the live feed pulled up at Dre's house. I remember sitting at Dre's house.
We're playing a board game, and the girl's like, take that down, and we play one single game. I think it was sequence. In that game, I made $3,000, and my fiance, she's like, will you turn that off? I'm like, I just made $3,000 while playing this board game.
Yeah.
I'm keeping it up on the TV.
Yeah. I'm quitting my job and I'm doing
this. So they're like, I think after Dre made $500, Samantha's like, sell it all. And Dre's like, I'm like, you can do whatever you want with yours. I'm like,
what is that going to change? We go out to a really nice dinner once.
Yeah.
And then my problem too is because we just put it in, I was looking at even when it hit the high side, I'm like, you're going to be at short-term capital gains on it. So you get knocked down on it. So I was like,
short-term capital gains on $28,000 was more than a long-term.
Hey, I still
$2,000.
My $800 is still worth $7,500. So one day it'll go up.
Yeah, oh yeah, it definitely will. I mean, I think that's the trend investing, being able to catch trends on the front end.
100%.
Did you catch AMC or GameStop?
Yeah. I got into AMC, GameStop, and I think at the time, so I had a sales job at the time that I think I had a base of 56, nothing. And one day, it starts going up. The next day it keeps on going up. And I'm looking at my account, and I walk into my boss's office and I'm like, hey. And I said, I just made more than my whole entire salary today. He goes, well, did you sell? And I was like, no. He's like, well, please sell it. Please just sell it and take the profits. I was like, no, it's going to the fucking moon.
Have you been watching Elon? He's with us.
Yeah. 2 days later, it's right back down or, whatever. So the trend investing, I think you can make a lot of money, but you gotta take the profits.
So I have a buddy that's phenomenal at it, and he does not get emotionally attached to any of it.
Yeah,
which I'm not very good at it, and I'm the same way. That it's like it's the ether of the ride.
Yeah,
and it's like catching that high, and
it almost seems fake.
He does it all.
It's like you can't make.
He jumps in on every one of them, and he's like,
I almost feel bad.
Exactly.
Yeah, he jumps in on every one of them, and he's like that dude that sells like. He's not at the peak of it, but
it's like 2 weeks right before it
he's always getting like close to the peak, and he like sells out, and it's like right before it all goes to shit. I'm like, dude, is somebody texting you telling you that like shit's about to go south? I'm like, every time like clockwork, and I mean, he plays with big money on it.
Gosh, I mean, you can make crazy money.
Yeah.
Oh, he told us how much he threw into AMC, and I'm like,
like you.
I'm like, when did you throw that in? He's like 2 months ago. I'm like, oh. I'm like, so you made some dough. He's like, I did okay. I'm like,
this is one of my smaller plays.
I'm just doing a simple math. You made a lot of money.
Yeah.
But it's just, I think that whole gig is just an emotional deal.
Have you guys watched the show on Netflix about it now?
Yeah, it's good.
About the guy that like kind of set it all up. He's like, no, it's like, this is gonna work.
Yeah.
And then it's like it's showing people in like college dorms. They're like, we can't sell. He ain't selling. He's showing his portfolio daily, and he hasn't sold.
Yeah,
and that's what everyone was writing it on. I was like, that's insane that one person had that much power.
It is crazy, and I mean, he started it all.
100%.
Because right after it, I remember it. I was very highly, either with my time invested, I should say. Yeah, I mean, he started the movement. Then he kind of went ghost, right? And after AMC, GameStop volume started kind of dying out. There were short squeezes or just like pump stocks, like left and right. And then it kind of got into crypto, and then it was just kind of cyclical how it all happened.
I think it was the day when Robinhood shut down. I was like, dude, because Elon Musk went on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, that night I was at the casino, and everyone's like, you gambling? I'm like, I made 6 G's today. I ain't gambling.
Yeah.
And he comes on Saturday Night Live. Within, I think, 12 hours, I lost like 14 grand. I was like,
wizard, finance wizard.
And I was like, I should have gambled.
Oh my gosh.
Should have played some blackjack. Yeah. Damn it. I lost money and I didn't have fun.
I have so many of those stories where it's like, I have no problem catching the runner.
Yeah.
My problem is selling.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, I just always hold too long.
So that's what I'm like, I know I'm going to get hit with capital gains. I'm like, I just need to throw it into another stock.
Yeah.
I need to catch the ride on the next one so I don't get hit.
But the other thing too is like, I've always just been a long-term like player.
Yeah.
In anything like business wise, like I don't make like, everyone's like in business trying to find some like get rich quick scheme.
Right.
Like everyone's looking for it somewhere in the world. And it's like, I've just never been that person. I've always looked at like the plays I make today in business are for 12 months from now.
Right.
Like what we were talking about before the podcast even started, like make a smart play today that helps somebody that makes a different relationship 12 months from now.
Yeah.
So it's like, I struggle with buying stocks and things. Like my stock portfolio is things I buy every single month, but it's like, I don't plan on selling those for 20, 30 years. Like, I don't know, like whenever.
Just looking at the trends of what's been successful.
Yeah. Like I put money in the Fortune 500 companies, like month over month, just like I have money that's auto pulled every Friday that goes in that stuff. I have a financial advisor money goes to, but it's like, I look at it as like, that's not a play that I'm going to go try to pull on 2 weeks from now.
In all reality, like those types of investments are 100% gambling.
Yeah,
it's just a way for people to tell their wives, no, I'm investing right now.
Yeah.
No, it's gambling. But from a business perspective, I think one thing that you guys did and what really caught my eye is just building what you guys have built in such a short amount of time with the crew that you guys have. That's all, you guys are all like real dudes. You know what I'm saying? It gave me kind of hope, and honestly helped me break out of my shell a little bit, because one, you guys are right here in the city, but I felt like I resonated with, how you guys conduct yourselves, and you guys were able to, you're able to flip on a switch where you're professional and you know how to do business, but you're not like putting on a suit and like, acting like a suit doing it.
I appreciate that a lot.
So cool.
It was something that I feel like the professional world, and I feel that the way of like the traditional way of doing business, I feel like there's like a new wave coming.
I agree.
And it's like, I talk to people all the time that struggle so much with trying to find like employees. Like that's their hardest thing to do. They're like, dude, I don't know how I would take anybody that'd show up to work.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we had 15 applicants last week. We don't have a hiring thing out.
Or that will work.
Yeah. But it's like, we have people like, we have the hardest workers inside of our walls. But it's like, I think it's something that, once again, it's playing those future plays day over day.
Yeah.
Like when you're playing that game, and you start teaching everyone how to play that game, people start making different decisions inside of a company. And most of the time, like you have like a CEO, you have a founder, you have whatever that person is, you have this management, leadership team, you have people inside, and it's like people don't help them evolve to think bigger. Most of the time it's like, no, keep them there. And America's built on keeping people in the rat race.
Yep.
And it's like, they don't want people outside the rat race. And it's like, so when you keep everyone inside that rat race, I'm going to say the only thing we've done really different is like help elevate everyone inside of our walls.
Yeah.
That I tell everyone all the time, like most companies, if you go and you say, hey, if I work an additional 10 hours this week, can I get paid for another 10 hours? Every business owner out there would love that. I tell everyone in the office, the only way I will not pay you more is if you come to me and you try to trade your time for money. That is not how I'm going to pay you more.
Right.
Figure out how to solve a bigger problem. Figure out how to create more movement. Figure out how to do something to leverage your time better, more efficiently. That's how you make more money.
Right.
And it's like, I think it's like a hard concept for most like business owners to think about, because they've always just had this like spreadsheet of like, okay, this many hours gets this much work done, but they don't look at efficiencies. They don't look at how people operate. They don't look at, I don't know, that future play. Like that future play isn't just me thinking about me. That's the last thing in that play that I ever think about. It's me thinking about, what does Dalton's life look like 12 months from now?
Yeah.
What does Dre's life look like 12 months from now? How do I make them think more efficiently today? How do they become better at their time management today? How do they become better at how they operate day to day? Because guess what? If I build those two people, Moss Marketing Group's on a whole different level.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just like, keep doing that, keep doing that, keep doing that. And that was from the beginning in the house.
Well, then you're on the Villages working on your pickleball game.
Yeah. And I mean, I needed a lot of help with that, but
He's going to need a full-time trainer.
Yeah. It's not me.
Yeah.
No. So at such a young age, and how did you learn that? Where did you learn that from?
I'm going to say that our dad was phenomenal in business. Our dad was somebody that everyone thinks that somebody, I'm never going to get on here and say we have some like rough childhood that we came from. That's the furthest thing from it. Like we had it all. Our dad was very successful. And it's like, I love people when they're like, oh, dad had money. Yeah, dad did have money.
Right.
Dad did well, but dad also taught us how to work. And dad taught us how to be smart. And it's like, we watched him be a great leader to people.
Yeah.
So it's like getting to watch that just from a young age, all growing up, was something cool to see. But then it's like watching my dad, I saw where he had flaws. I saw where he had huge wins. And it's like, I feel like that was like part of it. But then also with Moss Marketing Group, I mean, we work with 100+ business owners all the time.
Wow.
I get to be a sponge.
Yeah.
Week over week, just to listen to. I mean, I had a buddy on here that has 1,800+ employees. Like, that's a whole different level of operations that most people could never wrap their mind around.
Yeah.
And I go have drinks with him quite often. Like, good friend. Like, another guy we work with has 70-something employees. I hang out with him once a month. Like, another guy's 250. Like, and these are all guys that have started the guy that has 250 started from ground zero in 2012.
Well, some of them had super large companies as well, lost it, and they're like, hey, this is what not to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're back on the uprise, but they're like, hey, I learned this way. Like, just so you don't put yourself in the exact same situation, I look for these things, which is very helpful on all aspects, external and internal, with like HR, just paperwork.
Yeah.
I think when there was like 3 of us, I'm like, dude, why do big companies do paperwork? That's like the dumbest thing.
In the beginning,
Now looking back, it's like, I get it. I get it.
I think our biggest thing, like in the beginning, I was like, why do these like bigger companies have meetings all the time?
Yeah.
I never understood it. I was like, I feel like they're always having meetings about something. And now, like the size we're at now, I'm like, I mean, we don't have that like meetings, like internal meetings. Like now we have it with the marketing league, we have it with the content league, we have leadership meetings, we have like all these different meetings. But it's that communication so important,
Right.
to make sure that communication part is bridged between every aspect.
It's not a meeting to fill your schedule up.
Yeah.
It's a meeting with purpose.
Yeah, and it was.
It's not a meeting about another meeting you had, just so everyone's like clear on how the first meeting went.
Which I think sometimes it gets lost in big corporate companies
100%. Yeah.
that they're required that like, okay. And I think it's just because a lot of times they don't end up with the direction. So I think that they're like, okay, you 3 need to have a meeting on Monday, and then you need to have another meeting on Thursday. And then it's like, well, I don't really know what we're all supposed to be covering. So like the meeting on Monday ends up just being about what time the one on Thursday is going to be.
Yeah.
Like, and I see it in corporate companies all the time that they kind of lose sight that it gets so diluted. There's so many people, there's so many moving parts, and it's like complexity just multiplies so fast.
Right.
That we had a complexity problem trying to break that like 12 person mark. At like 12 to 15 we scaled up that point, and then we backed way backwards. And it was because I was trying to be the leader of every single person. Every person answered to me. I knew when we got to that level, there wasn't enough me to go around.
Yeah.
To where then I was doing a disservice to new people that came on because they had no direction, because they're trying to answer to me. I'm still out talking to accounts. I'm still doing all these other things. So they're like, yeah, Dane ignores me.
Yeah.
And it was like, I built my own problem. But then it's like, those problems are going to arise in business all day, every day. To where then it's like, how do you become a better problem solver? And then it's like, I was down looking at the resort doing food tastings with Madison for our wedding. I'm reading a book on the beach, and I'm like, I have a fucking leadership team. I was like, that's my problem. I was like, on the beach down there, I started in a group chat. I was like, this is the leadership team now. I was like, all these people answer to you. All these people answer to you. And then it's like, I just restructured the whole company and lived an hour and a half sitting on the beach.
Right. Yeah.
That was probably one of the biggest monumental moves and changes I've made to Moss Market Group to this day.
That's awesome.
But it's just like, it's crazy sometimes how you just have to look at something in a different lens to get the answer.
It is. I want to ask you a question just on the parenting piece, because I feel like, so, I mean, obviously everybody knows somebody that comes from money, but we all know somebody that comes from money that doesn't have that drive, right? So what was it that instilled drive into you guys? Like, do you remember like a point in your life, or like maybe like a conversation?
I think it's.
Or did you just always have it?
I think it's all we knew. We didn't have an option.
Our dad didn't like ever, from a kid, our dad did not accept anything but winning and like whatever it was that you did. Like, you're not here to take second. And it was like, I read every single night when I go to bed. Like, I get up early in the morning, I go to the gym, I read in the morning. I do all these things, but it's like, life is still like, I still look at life as like a competition. I feel like that's been lost with like humans.
Yeah.
Like, go back to the Roman days. Like, you had warriors out there, and like they were built to compete in life. Like, And I feel like that's been lost somewhere. And now it's just like people are okay with just being okay.
Yeah.
Our dad was like always like taught us just like instilled in us just not being okay with being okay.
Well, he instilled that, and then he showed us. He's like, "This is what money can get you."
Right.
He showed us what money can get you.
Having a taste of it.
Yeah, and he's like, it's up to you. He's like, if you want to go backwards in life, that's up to you.
Yeah.
He's like, but this is what money can get you. And he's like, once you leave this house, he's like, you're not moving back. And he's like, and it's up to you what you make of it. He's like, I'm just gonna say that. But he did instill in us. He's like, when you go out to play, you play to win.
Yeah.
Because he's like, what really sucks is fucking losing.
It does.
And he's like, people lose every day. And he's like, I'm not saying you're not gonna lose. You're gonna lose. But he's like, it sucks. You'll learn from it, and then just make sure you don't let it happen again.
That's awesome.
So I feel like you have that competitive edge, and it's like, what makes you go out, get in sales, say, hey, I don't want to be in sales. I want to build something different.
Well, I think everybody's in sales, and I saw an opportunity where we could develop a pickleball brand that spoke to people that don't come from a tennis background. I feel like every pickleball brand out there is, kind of tennis central, like, hey, this paddle is perfect for, old tennis players, whatever. Growing up, I was a sneakerhead.
Okay.
And
I noticed the shoes you wore in today. I got the same pair. I like them.
Nice. Good style.
Yeah.
Good style. And really where I see the paddle game going is towards sneakers. When you're talking with, pickleball players that kind of have that itch, like a golf player gets an itch, you get a couple good shots, you're like, ooh, I need more greens.
Yeah.
I really feel like pickleball will start moving towards that. And I know some people with 20 plus paddles that they bought, right? And so not only do you have to, when you do that, you have to have a really high quality product with technology backing it, and you have to be achieving something more each time you drop a paddle. But it also has to, kind of for our paddles, it comes from a place of nostalgia almost. It brings me back to, the tournament days, the AAU days, where, I formed a brotherhood with, people I either, played on the court with or, whatever. So not only am I competing every time, we are working on a new paddle, am I competing against our last paddle, but I'm competing with 1,000 other pickleball brands. And, I like to think we have, the most aesthetically pleasing design and pickleball brand on the market, but we also have technology that is rarely seen as well. And that's something huge for a really what we are, a mom and pop shop right now, to have 6 going on 7 different paddles. We're never satisfied. We're always going to bring you the newest. We're going to be testing out new technologies to see how they perform, and then kind of molding them into our own.
Do you think, so you were talking about like being a sneakerhead, and I feel like in so much, I feel like the sneaker space is like one of the only spaces that has done it well. I feel like it's happening in clothing right now too.
Yeah.
Where do you see there being a time where somebody has 20 paddles and you start doing limited runs, where it's like, okay, this paddle's this is going to be a spring 2024 paddle, that it's like it could have a resale value down the road of being something bigger, like
these are your Yeezys.
But what I'm saying is, like, you look at it as like Ricky can attest to the knife market. There's a whole market for it on knives, like that supply and demand, I feel like, is a huge thing that we were all taught in school.
Yeah.
But it's funny
Economy
how
101.
Yeah, you're taught that in school, and it's funny how actively in market it's never used.
Yeah.
They just oversupply everything, and they think the demand is going to climb. Like, if you came out and I saw one of those, and it's like there's only 50 of them made, I'd be like, oh shit, I gotta buy one. Like,
Yeah.
It triggers the human brain.
100%.
Like, so it's like, do you see that somewhere that you could take pickleball? Like, because I know that you're talking about other variations of other things you're going to do in pickleball. Like, how big does it go?
I mean, I really think you look at, I think the sky's the limit, but yes, eventually we'll get up to that point. And we'll team up with some either really big players in the game to do so, or some really big players that aren't in the game, that maybe played on the side. Maybe they play another sport. Maybe they're a kick-ass artist. Some of these paddles that will eventually come out with, people aren't going to want to play with, but they're going to want them.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that the technology won't be in there, but it's 100%. It's in our playbook. I don't want to give out too much, but it's something we will be working on and consistently kind of tweaking until we feel like our brand is there to really kind of stir some shit up.
Yeah. No, I definitely, like I said, when you came into the office first time, I didn't know really what to expect.
Yeah.
And then you come in with all these paddles. I'm like, damn, these are legit.
Yeah.
I was like,
They are.
just once again, aesthetically pleasing. And I mean, it's just good quality, overall great product. And we talk about it all the time. Like, you have great product, great service. World needs to see it. Marketing goes phenomenal.
What do the prices range on these?
Yeah, so it really varies, right? And we have 6 paddles. One's not shown here. The one's not shown here was our first one. But it ranges right around from $80 all the way up to about $220.
Okay. And is that $220 that one Dalton was just holding, or that white one?
Yeah, so our quick draw, I wanted to call it the quick draw McGraw. But we kept it quick draw for short. And then our Galaxy Pro over there. Those are $220. And what kind of makes those unique is our carbon fiber that we put into place. So it's a Japanese 2-ray T700. It's imported from Japan, obviously. It's the highest grade carbon fiber that you can get on the market. But every paddle, not every paddle, but there are paddles out there that have, the 2-ray T700. What's unique about that is that it's twilled with a 12K carbon fiber. And what that does is give you more, I guess, flexibility on the face. So it really feels like you're grabbing it and just kind of putting it wherever you need to.
I don't think that's going to help Dalton's game.
I think this guy's going to help my game here.
Yeah.
That one, honestly,
that's Dane's new paddle.
Quick draw is what I play with. I love it.
Do you like this one, the hyperdrive?
Yeah, I mean, I love it too. It's gonna have a little bit more pop, so it's not as much, like, I guess there's a checkered board on here. It's 12K carbon fiber, but I mean, you're really able to kind of place it like you would place in chess or checkers. But the 3K is great. It's really good if you're one of those players that just is getting blasted balls.
Okay.
That sounds like Dalton.
So it's like a power paddle?
Yeah, it has a little bit of power. I would say our M1 Air Raid is our most powerful paddle yet. We have something else coming out. Keep an eye out on it. It's going to be called our Gold Rush. But the 3K, so the only thing that's different are the carbon fibers that are underneath the hard shell on these. The white one has a 3K carbon fiber, so it's more firm. And you're going to just have a little bit more pop to it. So,
And how do you say the brand name?
So it's pronounced Mozi.
Mozi.
Mozi. No one would ever name their brand Mozi. And I hear it all the time. No, it's pronounced Mozi. Obviously family owned. And we kind of, we put a lot of effort into it. So
I feel like this isn't an easy, like, overnight endeavor.
No.
It's like, what has went into, I mean, okay, so you say, I want to create my own pickleball paddle lineup.
He cashed out Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Started it.
But it's like, how does one even start doing that? You just get online, you start designing, you find manufacturers, like.
Yeah, so Import Yeti, hit up Import Yeti. You can find out where, if you do enough digging, a lot of the manufacturers kind of caught on to Import Yeti, so they started disclosing, or I guess having their imports come from other entities or LCCs, whatever. But actually, around this time, it was around this time last year that I started doing some research and development, building my own paddle in small batches, and they were dog shit. They were dog shit, and they looked ugly.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere. And then you just start iterating, but it's not an overnight thing. And you also, so while I do this, I still have a full-time job. I have a full-time job doing it. But you also have to kind of, from your playbook, be able to delegate things to other people. That way you can, do what you need to do.
Yeah.
Right.
I think too, that the delegation side, a lot of times, even from new companies to companies further on, I'm going to say something I struggled with early on was really knowing my numbers well.
Yeah.
Where when you really get to understand your numbers, you can figure out that I think a lot of business owners they're greedy without knowing that they're greedy.
Yeah.
They want such a high percentage profit line all the time that sometimes it makes more sense to take a lower profit line, but it makes it scalable.
Right.
Where a lot of times, you can have a healthier profit line, but it's not scalable because you can't do it all.
Right.
And it's like, so that's where I definitely think I even see a lot of young business owners that come up that just understand the delegation side. They understand how to elevate people around them, and they understand just to take a smaller profit line, but they figure out scale a lot quicker.
Yeah.
And there's two different, and I'm not saying there's a right or a wrong way, because there's some people that build companies and they work inside of them their whole entire lives, and they can take a healthy profit line home and they're comfortable. And then there's some people that, Jeff Bezos only owns 13% of Amazon.
Right.
I think he's doing just fine.
Right.
But
well, and when I got started on this, it was, it was a hobby when I first started. So it was more like, okay, I'm gonna, when I come home from work, I'm gonna play around on Canva. I'm gonna mess around with some things. I'm gonna get a paddle in. I'm gonna test it out and kind of go about it, a little bit slowly. And that's if you're not going to go all in, if you don't have the funding to do that, I think that's the way to go for, like a young entrepreneur, because I've been eager, and I've quit my job before and said, I'm going to take over the world selling masks. And then COVID stopped. Yeah. Right. So
damn.
Yeah. Thank God.
Yeah.
But I think anything for, somebody, because everybody wants to start their own brand. Everybody wants to, have their own golf company, do whatever. One, make sure it's a good product and that you can get behind. But two, if it is a good product, you're going to have people that are going to want to help you out.
Yeah.
And so give them a piece of the pie and, let them help you out, and then grow it. And that's why I came to you guys, because you guys know how to grow shit. You can have a good product, but your good product is going to sit in a box if you don't have a way to get it in front of people.
Yeah. And
I don't know how to get shit in front of people.
I look at it and it's something that just came simple to me. I feel like because of a sales background, because of understanding how people work.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people that are in marketing don't understand sales, to where it's like marketing is sales. Like there's so many companies that are like, well, what's more important, marketing or sales? I'm like, they go hand in hand. I'm like, it's the same thing. You're trying to sell somebody online before they ever even get in contact with you. I'm like, so you have to understand who your audience is that you're trying to sell to. And you have to understand how that person operates and what they think is cool.
Right.
Because we have all these different companies and none of them run the same. And we do different content for different people. And it's that they have different target audiences. And it's like what a 60-year-old may think is cool online is completely different than what a 25-year-old thinks is cool online.
Yeah.
To where it's like, you have to understand who's the person buying from you. To where it's like, and then go own that market.
Right.
Too many people are in this game of like, oh, we got to own the whole entire market. I've had so many people reach out. They're like, oh, you guys are too flashy. You do this, you do that, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't really give a shit. Like the people that we do partner up with, we own that market.
Right.
We have these great relationships with them. We work really well with those, like the really hungry growth mind oriented business owner. The business owner that's like kind of flatline and wants to try just to do like just a tad bit more. And they don't really want to spend a real amount of money. They're not really willing to bet on themselves. They want to say they are. But they're so much in this comfort lane that they will not get uncomfortable at all.
Right.
That's not the person we partner with.
Yeah.
We have gotten uncomfortable in so many different states of everything we do. Dalton, 3 years ago, I would have put my house up that I couldn't have gotten him on a podcast.
Yeah.
Look at him now.
But now he's like,
I'm still not the most outgoing, but
But the thing is, he gets on camera and stuff, and there's no issue.
I came a long way, we'll just say that.
Yeah.
It's definitely, even still sometimes, like, I'm like, oh, man, I don't know if I'm feeling it today. Like, but, just get out there and do it.
But
it's not even just a podcast. I think from that, it's even talking with business owners, stuff like that. I think it just makes you more comfortable all around in situations that typically aren't comfortable. And having those hard conversations with individuals where it's like, been in a similar situation.
Yeah.
Am I going to do it right every time? No, but I'm going to put it the best way I can.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at, you're pushing yourself outside that comfort zone daily, it's really easy to talk with a business owner and have that conversation when you're not being a hypocrite about it.
Right.
So when we talk to business owners, if they want to talk to a business owner that gets more uncomfortable than anybody, I'm right here. I'm going to be the first one. You put the most uncomfortable thing for us to do in front of us, that's going to be what we tackle first. But it's like, that's what everyone runs from. That's when you talk about the competitive edge.
Yeah.
The competitive edge is going after what everyone else won't go after. And it's like, that there is like, I feel what makes the biggest difference in companies is like, okay, every pickleball paddle, you say there's 1,000 other ones. What's one of them at? Like, if you take all 1,000, there's something that none of them are doing. That you figure out what that is, that's how you disrupt the market. And guess what? Do you need to own the whole entire market? No. If you own 10%, you're gonna need a forklift to move all your money around. Like that's the way I look at it, is like, I don't want to own the whole market.
Right. You never can.
No, you don't need to. And it's like, look at people run for president.
Amazon owns the whole market. I'm just saying.
No, I look at it as like,
That's true.
But when somebody runs for president, 50% of people hate one person, 50% of people hate the other person. To where it's like, whatever it may be, like, you're going to have people that you're gonna have some 70-year-old person that says that's the ugliest paddle they've ever seen.
Oh yeah, we get a little pushback from some Karens on the court every once in a while.
But it's like, great. If you're not getting pushback, then you're not going far enough one way.
Right.
When you start getting pushback, you know you're doing things right.
Yeah.
That's when I like finally started realizing that we were like, when we started getting all the traction was actually when we started getting the most people hating on what we do.
Yeah.
We have other marketing companies like comment on our ads and shit all the time.
They're threatened.
But
Who's commenting on other people's shit if they
I'm not commenting on no one's stuff. I'm like, I'm not even thinking about them.
You're in your own lane. You're worried about yourself.
But it's like, I look at that as like in a business world is like, how do you make the most badass product? How do you make the most badass, bring the most badass service to market, all that, and then just disrupt everything.
Yeah.
It's like, and then just run full speed into whatever's uncomfortable every day. If you're doing those things, like, I feel like success is like inevitable. It's going to happen.
Yeah. It really is like, so my, obviously Jordan and, my idol is Kobe, and it's the story of the muse, right? Where you get up, you're working towards a goal every day, and if you're doing it long enough, consistently enough, and you're really actually, putting your all into it, the muse is going to make luck happen behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I just think about that all the time, and if you think about a situation in your life where it's, never would you think that the stars would align, but something kind of took place because you were, every day working towards a goal, and maybe what happened was outside of the goal, maybe it was above the goal, whatever. It's that muse that I think kind of rings true in this sense.
And I've had talks with Dre. Dre tells me I'm the luckiest person alive. But
I was literally just thinking that. If you ask most people, they would say Dane's the most lucky person alive. But whether it's in the business, outside of business, it's always just about doing the right thing for them. Where it's like, even if someone doesn't know what you're doing that day, no one can see what you're doing. So right. A lot of people just push right past it. He just does it. Which I will say that's one of the things I most respect about him is it's like, whether the camera's on him, whether anyone's around, he'll just do the right thing. Which makes so you never have to worry about the person that is leading you, that their best interest is in the company and everyone around them.
Right.
So if that's the case, people down line, doesn't really matter. Because person leading the ship, they got best interest in mind for everyone around them. So it makes it real easy on everyone else.
There's a lot of people that don't agree with a lot of business decisions I've made because I really don't make business decisions off of money. Like, money is a byproduct of being successful.
Right.
Like, I don't judge success off of finances, and I've looked at it as the success I have now is the group of people that are around me. That's way more successful than any amount of money.
Yeah.
To where it's like, I look at when whatever it is that you're doing, having that consistency day over day, doing the right thing, and we're all faced with decisions. I mean, how many decisions do we make a day? Thousands. But it's like you come to those crossroads over and over and over and over and over and over. Crossroad of getting out of bed in the morning and getting up at the ass crack at dawn to go get it in the gym. I want people to know out there, why do I post those stories in the morning and shit getting up at 3:30? I want people to know who the fuck they're competing against.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you about that too. What time do you go to bed to wake up at 3:30?
He's a psychopath.
9:30.
But it's also, there's some nights I'll go to bed at midnight and it's just like I get 3.5 hours sleep that night.
Push through.
But it's like, I look at that as like, I want people to know who they compete against.
Yeah.
And it's like, I live for that. And it's like, but it's, yeah, I need one too.
Appreciate it.
But it's like, I look at that as just one more thing of that like consistency play. And it's, once again, doing those things, reading that when I'm reading, I may read for a month and I can read a bunch and it's like, do I take a single point out of it that I can utilize in my life right there? Maybe not, but then it'll be like 3 months down the road, something happens. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
there it is. Like, now the dots connect. But it's like, it doesn't always happen in that exact order that you think it's supposed to. And it's just, things are always moving, and it's keeping your eyes open to what's happening and watching the big picture of everything, not getting so hyper focused in the moment that like Dre will talk about like a single account or something, like a single invoice. Like I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. Like
money still matters.
But like I tell him, like
money still matters.
He'll be coming to my office. I'm like, I don't got fucking time for that, dude. I'm like, I'm on a roll. Like things are, I catch momentum and I just live with momentum. And it's like, whatever it may be, it's like, we've done these podcasts now for almost 120 weeks. Like we've done taco reviews for 70 plus weeks. Like you look at the compounding side effects of like that happening.
Right.
Like this event we're having at the office tomorrow. Like, I mean, that's 80 plus people that are high level business owners in Kansas City. They're going to come to something that's a closed event that we're catering in food. We're doing bartenders, the whole nine. And it's like, that's a byproduct of something that that this was not an ROI positive thing. This was something that we never even created out of money. We've turned down sponsorships over and over. We built this as something that we give huge business owners a voice. And we also give a business owner that just created a pickleball.
I was gonna say I'm not huge.
But what I'm saying is like you get all of it. And that's something that I want this to be here forever, that I want 10 years down the road, that a new entrepreneur comes out and it's just them and they're trying to make it and no one's giving them time.
Yeah.
We're still going to be here giving them time.
Like I'm just assuming, like, say you were on Joe Rogan's podcast. What would that change in your business tomorrow?
Well, it's a little bigger than ours.
No, but like hypothetically, 10 years down the road.
Yeah.
Like if that were to happen, what?
I mean, yeah, we'd probably be sold out for a while.
And then you just open a whole different can of worms that you didn't know what was the can of worms you had. Where it's like, oh shoot, now we got to figure out this. Then you're figuring out like, how can we get product faster? All that, where it's, everyone always thinks it's like, oh man, once we get moving, like problems are solved. You just have different problems.
Right.
Which is one thing that we've learned, where it's like, as we start growing, it's just like, I was talking to someone a few weeks ago and they're like, man, it's like, it just must be a cake now. You guys are like killing it. I'm like, no, you're going to realize you just have different problems. No matter where you get, it's like, no matter what job you ever take, it's just different problems you're dealing with.
Always.
As you elevate in business, you just get better at solving bigger problems.
Yeah.
That's the name of the game. Like over the years, like
navigating through them.
Yeah. It's like you become better at navigating people. You become better at navigating business. You become better at navigating finances. You become better at navigating all of those waters. But it's like now I look at the waters that we navigate on a finance side. And it's like, yeah, was it uncomfortable getting into that where we're at now? Yeah. We never navigated those waters before.
Yeah.
That's the uncomfortable state that we went into. There was a point we were hiring people that we didn't even have the work for. And people said I was a fucking lunatic, but I was like, no, people are more valuable than money. I've always believed that. And it's just like, I look at it as like,
so true.
Most people will pass up the most perfect person for their company just because at that time they don't feel that they're ready for them. I've always, the second we've passed the right person, I haven't even thought twice about it and I've hired them. And then I was like, we'll figure out how to get the work.
Yeah.
And it's first 3 years at MMG, I didn't take any pay to make sure we could do that. But it's like, I look at from people aspect, like the podcast has been such a huge deal for that too. That has given us an opportunity to sit here and get to pick business owners' brains week over week.
Yeah, and somebody like myself to pick your guys' brain and, obviously thank you for displaying them too.
But the thing is, like, crazy. You have a great product. Like, if you would have given us some, like, paddles at the office that were, like, trash, I'd be like, yeah, not. It's like, I would tell anyone to go buy these. To where it's like,
thank you.
The product speaks for itself.
Right.
To where it's like, when you have product that speaks for itself, like, we have finally gotten to a spot that we don't have to tell people we're good at what we do anymore.
No, and I'll actually stop you right there because, I reached out to you guys. I think I've reached out multiple times, and I think one time you guys were probably all at your wedding. So obviously
good time to reach out.
Yeah. Yeah. But what you guys have built and what you guys are doing in the city, obviously, we've talked about that, but I think where like I want to emphasize like the kudos is what you guys have built as a group. I mean, you mentioned hiring good people. You don't pass up on them. It's clear, but also the way everybody around here, you know, we had dinner before this. It was a family. I've never experienced anything like it. And it was one of the coolest things I've ever seen, especially, you know, just being a business owner and, you know, trying to figure out a way how I could replicate that, right, and build a team like your guys' team. But also the confidence that seeing your guys' videos, your guys' podcasts gave to me. Because if it
and I'm going to say that confidence was not always there. If you go look at the first, like, probably 18 months of MMG, there was not a video MMG put out. Like,
so
of ourselves.
Yeah. Like, we did videos for clients. You were not seeing us on camera.
Yeah. And that's kind of how I was.
The first video we did for MMG, it took me probably about an hour to get hyped up, and we'd been working on this script, and this was like a 30-second video.
I think this was right after Ricky started. He's like, "You need to get in front of the camera." Dan's like, "Nah, dude."
I don't think this was the one before. Yeah, this was before Ricky started. This was because this one was bad and really bad.
Was that the one you were sitting in front of the wall at your desk?
This one didn't air, right? No, I put an ad out, and then somebody saw it, and they're like, "Hey, I saw your video." I was like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Yeah, the audio seemed a little weird." I was like, I ought to probably take that down. I took like 4 tequila shots to get hyped up to do it. And I was like sitting there, and I don't think I've ever seen a video of myself look so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But it was like, the other thing too is when we do marketing with people, it's not always just marketing. And I think so many people look at it as just like marketing, and it's like Dre and I, when we were in the car space, we had these production guys come up and do commercials and stuff, and they were assholes. Like, they came in and like
one of them yelled at a customer.
Yeah, one of them tried to yell at a customer. I literally looked at the dude and I'm like, those are the people that make this all possible.
Right.
I literally looked at him. I go, you say another word to one of these customers, I'm like, we're until you get the fuck out of our building, and I promise you we won't be working with your news station ever again.
Right.
But it's just like the way that they treated us. They didn't help us out at all. Like, there was no like warm up. It was just like they came up, set up, threw all these cameras in our face. It was like started. I was like, we've really tried to bring personalities to companies, like, and really help people come out of their shell, because we sit with companies day after day. They're like, I'm not getting on camera.
Right.
I was like, if you work with us, you're going to.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I don't want to get on camera. I was like, I'm like, I can guarantee you one thing. If you work with us, we're going to make you uncomfortable, and we're going to push you into that state.
Yeah.
But it's like in the beginning, it's not like you're just getting thrown to the wolves. It's go out there, like, we're going to start off doing Q&As where we're walking around with you, and it's like, start telling me about these. You know how easy it is to pull reels off a podcast? You sitting there explaining those paddles, like, boom, there's an ad.
Yeah. I actually do, but yeah.
Highest converting reels online right now over all platforms are podcast reels.
Damn.
So why not make that an ad? Somebody sitting there explaining something on a podcast, that's going to show authority right out the gate that they're on a podcast already talking to people about their product. So you have authority level right when you come out. Like, that's where something like this can make somebody 10 times more comfortable.
Yeah. Well, and for any business owners out there watching, I'm sure that you've probably went through 1,000 spiels of, marketing agencies and telling you what the ROI is going to be. These guys actually take the time to really consult on what the best strategy is. But not only that, but like you said, push you to be uncomfortable, which we really should strive for every day. And just take it to like your idea to a different level.
Yeah.
To where I was, in the room with you and Ricky, 2-3 weeks ago?
Still undecided.
Still not 100% sure, but somewhere around 2 to 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's been a crazy couple weeks. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, what you guys are, I mean, what really set you guys apart was you just keep it real, and you just tell it how it is, and you know, you don't sugarcoat it. This is the game. Either you're going to learn the game or you're not going to learn the game. Where I was going through rounds and rounds and rounds of basically interviews with marketing agencies. And, I mean, they were all kind of bullshit.
So, MMG was really built because I saw on the other side of the table for a long time.
Yeah.
In the automotive space, dealers spent astronomical amounts of money on marketing, and sitting on the other side of the table and seeing what the standard was is actually kind of embarrassing. Like, it really is. And the fact that dealerships were giving that much money to marketing agencies that did nothing, and their knowledge level was piss poor, and it was a sales thing that they took their best performing account that they've had in the last 5 years and just pretty much pushed that you never got the results that they talked about. It was overpromise and underdeliver all the time. And they try selling you these 12-month contracts, and their companies are made up of like 60% sales staff. And then it's like their whole business model is to outsell their 12-month cancellation. And I was like, there has to be a better way. I was like, I know there's marketing out there that works. I'm like, I follow these people like Gary Vee out there. I follow these people out there that have like real marketing agencies. And I was like,
where could we get Gary Vee? And then he doesn't do dealerships. Like, fuck.
Yeah. But it's like, you just dealt with all this different, I was like, from a sales perspective, I'm like, watching what they put up all the time. I'm like, this doesn't resonate to who our clients are. And I was like, so that's when we started doing it ourselves. And like, we really started figuring it out. And then everywhere we went, people were like, who does your guys' marketing? Who does your marketing? That became like the big question. And I was like, we understood customer service from the automotive space.
Yeah.
And I figured out B2B sales pretty quick, because like, if your product speaks for itself and your service speaks for itself, you don't have to sell it.
You don't. Yeah.
So then it was like, I enjoy talking with business owners. That's my favorite. Like, that's what I do all day, every day. And I love it. People ask me like, okay, you get up at 3:30. Like, are you tired? I'm like, what fuels me is talking with people.
Yeah.
Learning how they're doing business, challenging them on how they do their business. And it's like, I see flaws and I see breaks in it. And it's like, as a business owner, I'll say the biggest thing you can do all the time is get outside perspective on what you're doing.
And people pay consulting companies how much for that?
A ton. But it's like
astronomical amounts.
And consulting is a huge thing, but it's like a lot of times you get so integrated inside your business that I have guys that consult for us that come in and they look at and they break apart our business month over month. What are we doing wrong? Where are our flaws at? What do we need to fix? And it's like, you have to be open-minded. You have to be willing to learn. Do I always like hearing it? Absolutely not.
It's like, you're doing 90% of things wrong. It's like, okay, how would you do it? And then, but they give that input where it's needed at that point. And sometimes it's like, one thing we have working probably the best, they'll be like, you're doing it wrong. It's like, bro, this is our money line. And they're like, but is it really making money? And when you actually take a step back, it's like, hey, maybe that is losing money.
It could be a cash flow thing at the time. And that's a lot of times people get a mix up between profit and cash flow. It's like, there's something that could just be making sure payroll gets paid.
Right.
That doesn't mean it's profitable.
Right.
And it's like, we kind of got caught up in that it took having some high level people around us to really start digging into those finances, really looking at it correctly to kind of get us moving in the right direction.
All right. So you hire people coming in to your business and kind of analyze everything. And
so I actually found two guys that kind of came in as investors / consultants.
Okay.
So I knew there was a couple areas that we struggled in, and I knew areas that I was slacking in.
Okay.
And once again, when you get caught up in the day-to-day trying to just make everything happen, you sometimes aren't the best voice of reason. So I kind of read enough and enough guys or enough big business owners that said a lot of times getting that person's outside perspective was what they needed. So I found 2 guys. I said, hey, I'm willing to sell this much of MMG.
Yeah.
And very fair valuation on both parties. But what I ask of you is to help me grow it from actually helping me grow month over month.
Sure.
So
you already knew what it could be, but you needed.
So I thought
the things that they came in that you weren't anticipating.
They actually helped me with way more than I thought I needed help with. I thought I just had one of the guys is crazy skilled when it comes to operations.
Okay.
The other guy's crazy good when it comes to software and just overall that like bird's eye view.
It's more so multiplying internal power over manpower.
Yes.
So like, how can you accomplish more with less people?
Okay.
So his was really just a efficiency side. That there was a time there that we weren't operating that efficiently. That he helped really like make us more efficient in what we did. And then the other guy really helped with like our overall operations side because we don't really have like a chief of operations right now. Like we don't we're not that big that we have those kind of people in place. But it's like I think that's what a lot of smaller companies struggle to get that next level.
Right.
Is they don't have that person in place and they don't seek outside help to try to figure that out.
Yeah.
So I know there's a ton, there's people out there that are better than me at everything. So it's like, how do I hone in on those talents of other people to make us as a company better?
Yeah.
So just kind of seeking that outside help on different areas and then breaking the business and different points. And they look at, are you diversified enough in different areas? Are you holding too much profit lines in certain markets? That I've always looked at too as building a company that sustains anything that happens economically.
Yeah.
And a lot of people throw all their eggs in one basket and the economy goes to shit in one vertical. They're sitting there and they're like, oh,
yeah,
it was the economy's fault. No, you just didn't build yourself. Your foundation wasn't built for that.
Right.
So let's build the foundation that's capable of handling that. To where it's like, right now I look at that, that's what we're doing. We're building a foundation that can't be torn down, but it's making sure that we hold a lot of different verticals. And it's like, there's times that we want more in certain areas. And it's like, we go out and we figure out how we take on more in those spaces to build a portfolio more, just like if you're in houses or whatever it may be, you build a portfolio. That we have a portfolio of accounts we work with. How do we diversify that to make us as strong as possible?
Yeah. I feel like you understand and not even for understand from a business sense, but understand from a 30,000 foot view operation sense of being, I mean, even you talking about being diversified in multiple areas, you see a lot of times people get siloed, you know, and really just kind of hone in on one thing that's making them money for now. But we all know kind of how markets operate, right? It doesn't last forever. But it's always easy to take the easy money when you have it right in front of you. So how did you I mean, really kind of say, let's take a step back and.
I would say that almost goes back into our photo days.
No, but I would say when you're not focused on money, because a lot of times people get honed in on something because of money.
Right.
I've always had the grand vision of where Moss Marketing Group goes as a whole. And it's like, with that, I see the grander vision. I can see if things are like tied in to get us there. That'd be like if you took market with all these paddles and one is doing 20% better than the rest.
Right.
So you just scrap the rest and you just go with that one.
Right.
And then that paddle may have a 2-year swing and then all of a sudden it kind of falls off. Then where are you sitting?
Yeah.
But it's like a lot of times you see business owners do that they they get so, I don't know, hyper fixated on one thing that I had to take a step back because we were getting kind of pigeonholed in a couple different areas. And it was like, okay, so how do we open up more markets? Like, we want to get into the e-com side. E-com side's like fell on its face.
Right.
But it's, you look at the e-com side is fallen on its face by remote agencies that don't have their hand on all the content. If the content's right, you look at you look at a lot of these big name brands out there, they're still killing it e-com side. You look at Young LA, you look at these companies you look at Tides become Titans for a reason. It's because they understand how to take market share and they understand how to take mass amounts of it.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's like, and I looked at it as a marketing space, like we're the only marketing company in Kansas City that spends any money on ads. It's pretty crazy that the other companies sell that to people and they don't even spend money on their own ads. Like, there's not a marketing company in Kansas City that's even figured out how to market themselves.
They do door-to-door sales and then they sell you on everything else they should do.
Yeah.
But it's like,
which it is a definition of a hypocrite, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But something of the sorts.
I look at it as, if we can scale ours and we can put the writing on the wall, we have company after company after company that has success with us. Has it worked for every single company we've ever partnered with? Absolutely not. There are some business owners that are not meant to be business owners. There's some people that will be employed by themselves forever. And it's all them saying they're an entrepreneur, all it is them getting to have their own job that they can work for themselves, but they still work the same hours. They take on way more stress than the normal person.
Yeah.
That's like, I didn't want that to be me. I didn't want to just be another person that opened up a company that just worked for himself, that just works the same hours and actually works more, that then gets to sit at home with all this stress on his shoulders of trying to make payroll for all these people and just live paycheck to paycheck, but be a business owner instead. Like, and that's understanding. I think when you start really focusing on understanding business differently, and I think it comes from a personal level. I've understood personal finances really well.
Yeah.
And my personal finances have went well because I don't get emotionally attached, and everything I own is for sale. Like, if it's a material item, you make me an offer on my truck, you can have it right now. Made me an offer on my golf cart, it's yours.
Is this a garage sale? What's up?
Yeah, I was gonna say, how much is that golf cart? That thing is nice.
I'll say I got a deal on it. It
depends on what your offer is.
Yeah, but it's I mean, there's not another option you can get on a golf cart. But I look at it as just material items. Like, I've had people make me offers on things. I'm like, yep, it's yours. Like,
everything's got a price.
I do have certain things that are like sentimental. Like, you couldn't buy my watch that Madison got for me.
Yeah.
Like, that was an engagement gift. Like, that's not for sale, but I look at it as, I'm not attached to money. Like, money is not what makes me happy.
Right.
I look at money buys freedom, and money gives you the ability to have a higher level of purpose. That there's a lot of things we can do now from a charity standpoint because we've created freedom and because we've put ourselves in a financial position that we have. And I look at it as like that. You're just moving to a different game board every time. You're becoming better at the game. You're becoming better at your craft. I look at business owners go out and you become great at basketball, and it's like, there's somebody out there that's better.
Right.
How do you practice more? How do you keep putting in more work? How do you get in the gym more? How do you keep doing more and more and more? The great thing about business, though, is it doesn't come down to a physical aspect.
Right.
Business comes down to fully what's in your head.
What's in your head and how much are you willing to give?
Yep.
I think one of the key pieces that you reiterated is, if you're going to run a business, you can't get into it for the money. You have to have a passion, you have to have a product that you can stand behind, and you know it can't be about the money. It has to be about how are you changing somebody's either day to day, their life, their game, and the people that I see a lot of the companies that you see in the game right now, it's from a paddle perspective is, how much can we squeeze out of this paddle? And so, if you get into it from that, point of view, you're never going to really make something.
Yeah. I think you have to have passion. You have to have I think it comes down to a mindset that you look at the Ray Lewis thing, that the lion's not the biggest in the jungle. The elephant is. Lion's not the fastest in the jungle. The cheetah is. It's his mindset is what makes him the king of the jungle.
Yeah.
But it's like a mindset when it comes to business that too many people, when you sit there and you have to have finances to run a company. Like, so I'm saying that is a huge pillar of business. Like if you want to stay in business, you got to figure that part out.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But I'm also like somebody that my decisions, that I'm not going to make a decision that jeopardizes my morals, my values, anything like that for a financial play.
Right.
That we've had a lot of companies come our way that I don't believe in. I don't believe in the way that they're doing things, and we've went the other direction. And we've fired companies that do things wrong, and we look at reviews. We look at a lot of different things on companies that we work with. But that's a partnership that goes two ways. I look at it as like, this is a business owner I'm going to be friends with. I'd best be able to bring you into my house and sit at my kitchen table and have beers with you.
Yeah.
If you don't align on that level, we don't want to work with you.
Yeah.
And
you don't have to drink beers. You can have LaCroix or something.
Yeah.
But sit at your dinner table.
But it's like, I look at it as just that is what my vision of building something was. My vision of what MMG was from the very beginning was to build something that nobody's had that.
Yeah.
Nobody's had that in the marketing space. Nobody's had that person in the marketing space. And it's like, it's always been such a transactional type space for some bullshit results that don't work.
Yeah.
I was like, how do we change that narrative and how do we build it into something that now it's people come to us and they want to work with us?
Right.
Marketing agencies are never on that side of the table. We've flipped the script to where now we have the leverage at the table. But it's like, but we're bringing a lot more than just marketing. It's
right.
almost a business consulting. It's almost a marketing consulting. We're invested in
a mindset consulting.
Yeah. It's an investment really to us when we partner with somebody. Is like, how do we move the needle forward much more than just on a marketing standpoint?
Yeah.
That our success comes secondary to the companies we work with. Towards if I'm sitting, that's why I still take the sales meetings. It's like, if I look at a company, I don't see them being successful in any way, where are we going to find our success?
Yeah.
If it comes secondary to yours, and I don't believe that you can be successful with it, kind of us just wasting our fucking time at this point. But
something we can't get back.
Yeah. Can't get time back. They always make more money. They're printing more of that every single day.
That's right. God damn.
They ain't printing no more time. But we could definitely talk for hours on here.
Definitely could. I have a lot to pick your brain about, but
yeah, no, I very much appreciate you coming on. Like I said, I'm impressed.
I appreciate that.
Very impressed.
That means a lot coming from the MMG group. And thank you so much for having me on. This was a little bit out of my shell, breaking out of my shell, but it was an awesome experience. Yeah, great food.
Hey, I'm gonna give that one to Madison. That had nothing to do with me.
Hey, thank you, Madison, for the great food. I don't even know what kind of hoagie roll that was. What was that?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
Your level is as good. Your guess is as good as mine. I showed up and about the same time you did and ate.
I was still a little nervous when I showed up, so I didn't. Everybody saying something, I was a little nervous, but it was so good. Tell her thank you very much for the hospitality.
Yeah,
and for the opportunity to come on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. We will drop all the links below for all of your gear, all the social platforms, everything like that. So make sure you check them out if you need anything in the pickleball space. So once again, thank you. That's the M3 Podcast. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the M3 Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Want to learn more? Check us out on Instagram at Moss Marketing Group, on Facebook at Moss Marketing 58, or on our website at mossmarketinggroup.com.